Throughout creating my videos, I've discovered a bit of a passion for Code Wars and a bit of a passion for Regex. I've used that to good effect in some videos, and it occurred to me, aha, I could create a site dedicated to creating Regex-based challenges, similar in style to CodeWars, LeetCode, those kind of things, but we could call it RegexWars. RegexWars.com was in fact available, so I've nabbed it, and I intend to create a site dedicated to the enjoyment and celebration of Regex in its full glory. So I imagine that the site would allow users to submit challenges and solve challenges, and they could be assessed based on things that we can decide, such as conciseness, elegance, simplicity, readability, if there is such a thing with Regex, of course. It could have a leaderboard. There's all sorts of cool features that I think we could add that could make RegexWars an awesome platform. And hopefully those that have a passion for problem solving and Regex, if you're crazy like I am, can come along for the ride and be involved in whatever capacity you like, if it's just suggesting an idea or even reaching out to have a look at the source code if you like. I'm up for a discussion on anything. So to give you a bit of a flavor of the kind of thing I'm going for, there's some videos that are related to what I'm talking about. I'll just quickly flip through a couple of examples. So there's one where I use a regex to check if the king on a chessboard is in check by any other chess pieces. There's one around Connect 4, so deciding who wins in a game of Connect 4. There's something around tic-tac-toe, so I'll pop links to those in the description, but I could expand the idea to other things like battleships or Minesweeper or Sudoku. The list goes on, and I'm excited by the idea, and I think it really could foster a community of like-minded souls to get involved in Regex Wars and do fun things. So I'm excited to begin with any feedback that you can give me. So throughout your career, you're going to come up with your own philosophies of what works and what doesn't work. And I've decided to just document a lot of what has worked in my career in a little book that I'm writing. One section is called the Tenet of the Tangent, where it's advocacy for working on side projects alongside your main job. And I really believe there's multiple advantages to working on random side projects because it exposes you to things that you wouldn't necessarily be exposed to in your main job. It forces you to consider a project in its entirety rather than just from the narrow focus of your own maybe specialism. You'd have to, if you've got a goal in mind, you have to do whatever is necessary to hit that goal, which means overcoming obstacles that may not necessarily be something you've been exposed to before. So I'm a real advocate for side projects in pushing your career forward. And in fact, it's my experience that most of the jobs and progression that I've seen in my career has been largely attributable to side projects that I've done in my own time and learning that I've done as a result of those side projects. There's another tenet in my book called the Tenet of the Beginner, which is it's an injunction for you to just begin something. Because it's very, very easy when you have an idea or a vision or thoughts on something to fall into the trap of being paralyzed by analysis, having paralysis of the analysis, and it prevents action. But the tenet of the beginner is advocacy for just starting. So in the spirit of that, I'm going to just start with RegexWars.com. So this video is multifaceted. It firstly gives me the opportunity to tell you about Regex Wars and to invite you along for the ride if you're interested. It's also an opportunity for me to embody the values that I just mentioned about the tenet of the tangent and the tenet of the beginner. So I'm going to just begin. And it's also an opportunity for me to just lay out some basics around how to set up a Next.js project, So I'm going to create a simple site with login ability using Clerk.js, which is what I believe is a very good third-party authentication and login service provider. I'm going to deploy the site using Vercel and do all that is necessary to get it actually live and hosted on RegexWars.com, the domain that I've registered. It's also an opportunity for me to just show how I use AI on a daily basis, just to help with basic things like having a terrible memory for commands and things. And I'm going to try and do this as fast as possible as well. So I'm thinking in minutes rather than a big, long, lengthy video. That's the aim, at least. So with that in mind, let's begin. So very first step to do is to just create a basic project. I'm going to use npx create next app and see how that goes. Project is named RegexWars. Let's hyphenate it. Yes, use TypeScript, ESLint, Tailwind. Yeah, we'll go in the source directory, use an app router, turbo pack, and I guess just the default for this. Beautiful, that seems to be done. So let's just cd into RegexWars and start VS Code. Okie dokie. So then we can run npm run dev and have a little look at the initial state of our application. Cool, so our Next.js application is running. We're just on the initial placeholder starting page. Time to get creative, I guess. Okay, so if I go into the source code, there's this page, which is the initial home page. Now, most of this we don't need, but what I am going to do is just take a copy of that, go over to ChatGPT, and I'm going to explain my project and paste in the code and get it to update it with a new version of the code. Okay, so I've just described, I want to create a new project for RegexWars.com. This is an amalgamation of the existing concept of CodeWars, but creating it for neat challenges with regex. An example of the kind of thing might be to determine if the king is in check on a chessboard using regex. I want to use Next.js as my framework. Can you please get me started? Here's my initial page. Can you please update with branding suitable for RegexWars.com? And I'm just pasting in the initial page.tsx to get us started. Okay, so I'm curious to see what that looks like. So I'm going to just paste that in, save the page. Okay, we've got some sort of an error here. Parsing error. Yeah, because it's treating that as free text. I wonder if we can just do that for now. Okay. We still have an error. Okay, it's because we've got an unused image thingy at the top. Okay. Oh wow, that actually looks pretty cool. RegexWars.com, hone your regex skills through wicked challenges from basics to brain teasers. Are you ready for the battle? Enter the arena. Haha, that's actually pretty cool. So you can see that very, very quickly you can start to build something. Even if you don't even know what you're doing, you can just copy and paste the code pretty much. And although I did fix something, you could easily, because I knew how to fix it, you could easily have just hovered over the error and copy pasted the error message to ChatGPT. Can you fix it for me, please? And it should be able to give you some, both a resolution and to be able to teach you about what the problem was and how to fix it. So yeah, I actually don't mind how that looks. I might tweak it later, but what I do want to do, because I don't think I'm going to do the whole project in this quick video. This is more of a introduction to all of this sort of stuff. What I do want to do is, whilst I'm building this, I want to have a waiting list so people can join and be notified when the site is available. So I'm going to ask ChatGPT to create me a waiting list. Now, I've already used something called Clerk.js, which is like an authentication third-party service for managing all of the login related stuff. It's pretty good actually when I used it for a different project, so I'm happy to use it on this as well. I think it would make sense, so I'm just going to use that. So I've just put, I want to have a login button initially for a simple waiting list using Clerk.js. I would suggest using the terminology join waiting list for the landing page button. While that's generating, I'm going to just tab over to here. I can just view the delta on my page. Now it's pretty much changed the whole thing. So I'm just going to right click and stage those changes, which means when I paste the new version in, I can look at the delta. Paste, which then is much easier to see what's what. Okay, so yeah, I need to install Clerk. But yeah, you can see other things. It's added a sign in button, join waiting list, and made some changes around here. Oh, it's just formatting stuff. Oh, it's reintroduced the bug that it had before, so that's quite annoying. But I can just change that like that. But yeah, of course I need to now install this. Yeah, as I thought, I just didn't read that it had told me to do that. Cool. Clerk sign in flow, later give it an invite only or collect email for the waiting list. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so that's all nicely installed. The little red squiggly has gone from here. So I would say that's now done. Let's look at the site. Okay, it's broken. Ah, yes, I remember all this. You have to create a Clerk provider component. Yeah, okay. Okay, I actually do know roughly how to fix that, but I'm going to pretend that I don't. And I'm going to just say, well, I can just copy and paste. Oops. Hopefully I can just copy and paste. I got this weird error. So it should now tell me that it needs to wrap the button in a Clerk provider component, and it'll hopefully tell me how to do that. Cool. Okay, awesome. I'm going to just copy that then. There's the layout, which I think should exist, which it does. Just paste that in there. Okay, that's tweaked a few base details. Again, I can look at the delta. Yeah, it's removed fonts and things. So that's cool. Yeah, and it's wrapping it in the Clerk provider, which is there. Ah, yes, I remember this as well. There needs to be some middleware just to manage. Well, it seems to have hallucinated this, so let's just moan about it. Looking at the documentation, it's Clerk middleware, not auth middleware. So let's see if it can fix it. Okay, this is going off on a tangent. I'm going to stop that. Isn't it called Clerk middleware? That's a big hint. So yeah, fully unassisted, not perfect. And it's got the matcher wrong as well. Anyway, okay, so I guess it's quite niche and specific, although I would have expected it to know that, but let's paste the correct version in then. Good. And now let's just go back to the final step. Yes. So this is complaining about a missing perishable key. which needs to be populated from .env. So I just need to configure something on the Clerk side, which is on the actual third-party website, just to create an application that I can then integrate with and copy and paste those values into .env. And I'll be back in a sec. Just going through the process of adding it, and yeah, it tells you here all this stuff as well around installing the Clerk middleware and all the stuff that AI was not telling me. So yeah, now that I've added those keys into the .env file, it's now loading up just beautifully, and I can click the join waiting list button, and it's prompting me with the relevant stuff from Clerk, and I can go ahead and log in with Google or use an email address. So yeah, a basic waiting list is now ready. So I think with that in place, I'm actually ready to deploy this to RegexWars.com, which, because I use Vercel, it's quite trivial to do, I think, although I'll have to push it to a repository first. So I'll do that first, and then I'll configure Vercel. So very simply then, RegexWars is the name of my repository. I'm creating it private, create the repository. Excellent. So here's my Git address, and I can push the existing repository using these commands. So I'll do that now. I need to commit these changes first, actually, don't I? Good, so that's been pushed up successfully, and now I just need to integrate this with Vercel and deploy it. So of course I've just committed that and pushed it to GitHub, so I'm going to want to import from GitHub. All of the defaults are probably fine. Okay, I was planning to add the environment variables after it had done the first deployment because I thought it would at least build, but apparently not. So I need to add the environment variables now for the Clerk keys, so I will just quickly do that. Okay, redeploying with those environment variables set. Excellent, it appears to have deployed, so I can go to my dashboard, and yeah, I can go to the placeholder address that Vercel has given me and do all the fun things with that. Now then, I of course have the domain name, so I want to hook up the domain name, which is pretty straightforward. In domains in Vercel, I can add a domain, and it is RegexWars.com. Add domain, add. Okay, so this is expected because of course the DNS settings do not currently point to Vercel's servers, and I need to just set that up in my domain DNS settings. So it's pretty simple. It tells me exactly what to do. I have to set an A record to a particular value. I should probably update the existing one. Yeah, okay. So yeah, that's refreshed now. Let's just manually refresh this one. That's all set up. Which I think means it may now be working. Let's try it. And voila! RegexWars.com is now officially live as of this very moment. How exciting. People can join the waiting list, and that's looking pretty cool. So I'm excited to build on this. Of course, it doesn't have any of the functionality of RegexWars yet. But yeah, I'm imagining people will be able to submit their ideas for challenges, solve challenges all around the wonderful world of Regex. So if you want to come along for the ride, you could join the waiting list. if you've got any ideas or thoughts about what we could include on RegexWars, let me know in the comments. I'm thrilled to hear from you, and I could use all the ideas I can get, really. So let me know, and I will see you on the next video.